We are live. Welcome, Kier.
Kier, yep.
Nice to meet you.
Good to
Nice to
meet
meet
you
you.
too, Henry.
Yeah, I wanted to bring you on because I heard you were an interesting dude. I heard you got socially typed as a one, and you are a fellow ENFP. So I wanted to hear about you, your story, your life, and make you run through some questions. So why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us about your background. Tell us about where you're going, all that good stuff.
Sure. All right. Well, my name's Kier. I am 39 years old. I live in Houston, Texas. I have a wife and a 2-year-old daughter. You can see my type on the screen. I was typed as audio, NEFI, sleep blast, and I got typed by OPS in 2019, like the beginning of 2019. So I'm one of the early-ish people to have gotten
Wow.
typed, and I come from, because I'm older than a lot of the community is. I come from like a long kind of background of where I was in college many moons ago, and I discovered uh, the MBTI, and I was typed, and I discovered socionics. So I like sort of have like a long history of interest in various typologies. But I got typed in OPS in 2019. It's part of sort of like a self-awareness kick slash like self-discovery project that I've been working on. Uh, I'm a personal injury trial lawyer. Okay, so I'm a lawyer. That's part of my background, and I have to do a lot of like presentation and competitive stuff, like in courtrooms in the U.S. where I live, and so there's a lot of good wisdom from lawyers that are way older than me, have been doing it for a really, really long time, that if you're going to do what I do and do it really well, you have to be really in tune with yourself and really in tune with, who you are and what you're about. So, like there's reasons to do that for its own sake, but also just if you're going to be presenting, you really have to check in with yourself and be real. So if you're going to make audacious asks of people, if they smell like inauthenticity, or they
Mm.
if you come across as fake, then sometimes they won't trust you. And so I mean there's a whole bunch of reasons to do this, but I stumbled upon OPS because I started following the Dave Powers uh, YouTube back when it was Dave's Superpowers, a really long time ago, when it was just like a straightforward MBTI
Mhm.
channel. And then when OPS came out in late 2018, and I remember seeing this stuff in my feed, I was like, what is this? And I was, first of all, really sort of jarred and shocked by it initially. And I got typed by them, and I was really jarred and shocked by how they typed me. So it's pretty par for the course. And so I kind of put it aside for a long time. I put it aside. I kind of took from OPS what I think is like the most sort of basic teaching that it has, which was pay more attention to sleep, pay more attention to rest, try to do more SI, be more aware of SI, and don't run yourself down as much, because I've definitely had major tidal waves in the past that were very much like where I was doing way, way, way too much, and I was just running myself ragged, and I would either get sick a lot, or I just get broken down to the point where unexpected things would happen,
Mhm.
which is what happens when you're running around saving the world. And so I've started to realize, so I sort of was like, okay, I took the sleep lesson to heart, but
Mhm.
then I had some issues with the way that that they type me, insofar as like I don't really see myself as a ENFP archetype. Like, to me, ENFP is kind of like manic pixie dream girl. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It doesn't seem like you either,
Yeah.
superficially, right?
People don't
You know
call
what
me
I
a hippie by any means.
mean?
Like,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah, yeah. But you got that. I mean, they just typed that one CEO who was actually similar type. They typed him as similar type. Actually, almost your type. I don't know what his modalities were, but they
Oh,
said he was. They think he's a sleep last ENFP.
is
Yeah,
this the
the
guy
Microsoft
from
guy.
Microsoft? Oh,
Yeah.
not Sundar Pichai, the other guy. Yeah, I mean it's a really interesting way. I don't consider myself to be a great typist in other typologies, like in socionics or an Enneagram, but I can function. Whereas in OPS, I'm not good at it. Like, there's just certain aspects of the OPS typology that have been very hard for me to sort of understand, and I've kind of had to create mental space for myself to make room for this typology to exist. And but like, where's I going with this? I'm gonna do this at least once. I've done it once already. I've used my get out of jail free card where I lose my train of thought. Um, yeah. So basically, what my point is that I was very grateful when the like social needs came out, because I was like, here is something that I get pretty much intuitively immediately. You know, a lot of
Oh,
people are having trouble with
do you mean
it,
the
but I
social types?
yeah, social
Yeah,
types. I was like,
me
okay,
too.
here's something that I just get immediately.
Hmm.
And not only do I get, you know, where I fit in this, but I think I understand the other ones pretty well. So that's been kind of a breath of fresh air for me, and a typology that I've had some challenges with in the past. So it's definitely been cool to learn about this new shiny toy that we all have.
So when you heard about like the social types, like did you immediately kind of gravitate towards like, oh, yeah, that's me. Like,
So the
and
whole
how
so
do you see that? I'm curious about how you've seen that expressed in your life. Like, but go ahead.
yeah. Let me give you the consume story of how I kind of arrived at this, and then I'll tell you sort of why I see it that way for myself. So at first, when they first started talking about it, I think it was in maybe November was the first one that I saw, where there was a guy who had been shot, a rapper who'd been shot, where he's on, where they're looking at film of him, where he's holding like a bunch of, you know, racks of like $100 bills and stuff, and he's talking about how he's always carrying around, you know, at least 20 grand on him. And they're like, this guy's a flex and he just got shot because he's a, you know, number one and drawing too much attention to himself. So,
Hmm.
and then they showed the pyramid with the 1, 2, 3, 4, and they were saying, you know, one is very DI, two is very O. So they did the, like the human need correlation for each one. And I'm an lead OE, so I'm like, okay, maybe I'm a number two. It's like maybe I could easily see myself being a number one, but okay, maybe because I'm an OE, I'm a number two, and who knows what they're going to come up with? Who knows what everybody else thinks? You know, it wouldn't be the first time I got surprised if I wasn't a number one. So maybe I'm a number two, but I pretty much see number one inherently. And then when they released the notes about the sort of stack, I guess what we'd call it would be, you know, each one
Role of
isn't just,
operation.
it's not just the one, it's the order, like it's, you know,
Hmm.
flex, responsible, specialize, um, friends. At that point, it was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely a number one, but I didn't really talk about it, and I wasn't in the Discord at the time. And there were some people in an Enneagram group started to talk about it, and they were like, oh yeah, you're a number one. I'm like, well, okay, yeah, I agree, but that's like the first time that I've just instantly been on the same page with other
Hmm.
people in OPS about what my type is. So I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. But in terms of like how I see it for me, and then I submitted a retype request through the paid questions
Hmm.
in I think last month. I sent them an email in December that they didn't respond to, because I found out after the fact that they stopped doing them by email. So I sent in a retype request because I was still futzing around with, you know, like ENTP, because, you know, ENFP is not a type I ever considered for myself, like in regular MBTI. So I mean, I'm typed as like an ENTJ in socionics and in MBTI, which I am not anywhere close to in OPS. So that was sort of the initial shock, was the self tribe coin, but I digress. But I submitted a retype because I'm like, okay, I could kind of see ENTP be a little bit more square with what I was already thinking about myself, and it might fit a little bit better imagistically, might have a little bit more, you know, face value for people who don't know the 512 types. And so I submitted that video to them in March, and I was like, oh, you know, by the way, social type, I think I'm a number one. And they're like, well, we still see you as the same type, but you're definitely a number one. And I even got an audio back from Shan, who's like, I didn't even read your email, but this is what I'm going to talk to you about. You know,
Hmm.
number one big time, which was, you know, consistent with some of the things that they were saying, because I got typed back when there was audio, like when you actually got audio from Dave and Shan. It was cool.
Hmm.
Um, and Dave was saying, you're the same type as my brother, but why do you have so much drive? What's going on? I don't understand. Um, but so in terms of like how I see it for myself, why is it obvious to me? You know, why do I see myself as a number one? Why does this kind of flow naturally to me? I would say that, I mean, just the basics. I've always been super competitive. In the sense that it's not that I need to be the best at everything. It's that I need to not spend time on things that I either am not the best at, or I couldn't see myself being the best at. I mean, when I was probably in third or fourth grade, I realized, professional athletes have physiques like this, and my family's got physiques like that. And, this is how I'm doing in sports. Like, I'm not going to be a professional athlete. So I just like stopped caring about sports completely. I just didn't. I didn't put effort into it, didn't see the value of it. I wanted to focus on stuff that I thought that I could be better at. So it's innate to my wiring that, focus on stuff that you think you can be good at and kind of ignore everything else. And I'm also the kind of guy where, my cousin has been trying to get together like a D&D campaign. And I know he's not inviting me because he's going to think that I'm going to spoil everything by min-maxing and just by being that guy, like turning something that's supposed to be a fun social.
I'm so triggered.
You know what I'm talking about?
I'm so triggered right now because I've ruined D&D campaigns by making it all about, no, this is the most important thing this is about. And just
you can't
not making it fun for everyone else because this is more important.
Yeah, you
this
can't.
Is more important that I be doing this.
Was it like you were min-maxing and nobody?
No, I was okay. Extreme role playing.
Gotcha.
Like I was just like, no, my character is this, and they're going to do this not strategic thing right now because of I have to live this character, and it's like because I have to practice being this character because it's literally and it's the same thing.
So you role played yourself off a cliff.
I played myself off a cliff and pissed everyone off, and wasn't nice. Like, no, you don't do stupid stuff that kills my character. It's so mature.
And you're saying I got to stay in character.
I gotta stay in character. It's too important.
Yeah, if somebody's trying to have the campaign that it sounds like you were trying to have, you don't invite me because I'm just going to be like, how do I throw as many dice? It's sort of like I'm going to turn stuff competitive and then my friends are going to not want to play anymore. Like that has happened. That's happened with more than one game. For real. So there's just this innate competitiveness and everything is kind of about that whenever I'm engaging in something and I don't want to engage in things that I couldn't see myself being good at. I mean, I don't have to be the best at something that I'm doing. I mean, in order to really get good at something, you have to put in the reps. Like if you're not doing the reps, you're not going to get great.
Nobody's just like you. It kind of feels like you're dying though. Like if you're doing something, you're like, I'm not the best at this. Like I'm not doing the best. And then you see people who are way ahead of you. Like, oh shit, I'm not there yet. And then if you do come back, you can work towards it. But it's hard.
Definitely. Yeah, that's very true. That's how I spent my day today, honestly. Just then like,
like
having those moments. Yeah.
It feels like the energy is like draining out of my body. Like I'm like I didn't even realize it for so long. Yeah.
Do you get intrusive thoughts from that? Because I sometimes
I was literally skiing a few weeks ago, and it was like if I was going faster than everyone, I was happy. And the moment one guy went faster than me, I was like, the intrusive thought came in. I'm like, I want to knock that guy over. I was like, don't think that. Like I want to.
Yeah, don't think that. Don't think
that. Stop that. And I stopped thinking it, but it was like. It was intense. It was actually so intense that I like went so fast that I just completely lost control, like until I crashed. And I was like, okay, you need to think about this, But yeah, that's intense.
So there's just the baseline competitiveness, but like the second part of it that I think is what might have made it easier for people to tighten me from in the system from the get-go on this was I have a lot of sort of preoccupation with social proof, so I tend to like compete over things that are pretty trackable. Maybe it's the double activated DE. I don't know. Yeah. But compete. I'm an attorney. I compete over fairly stereotypical things, like literally winning cases in court in the courtroom, or things like finances, or stuff like that. Just I compete over things that are easy to see as connected to wanting to be number one. So that stuff is, I think, makes it a little bit easier for where some people, I mean, maybe this is true for somebody, but some people are sort of like, I don't know what's in their DI. So I don't know I don't know if you're number one or not, because I can't tell what it is that you're trying to be great at. Where are you the best? I don't know. Like you might see the ego, or you might see some flexing, but you don't necessarily know what the person is trying to do. So it's sort of hard to tell where to put them. And I feel like what I'm doing is kind of obvious. So
Yeah,
maybe it's
and
easier.
if you looked at the class notes recently, they put in for the number ones. The extrovert number ones will be very flashy, more
Mm-hmm.
flashy in your face,
Yeah.
and the introvert number ones will be more like mine is better than yours, like
Mm-hmm.
um, in a sense. But yeah, no, like it's easier to see on you, like you're out and out in the world, whereas if I am a one, it's more in the back and then big, huge dreams. I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you need to relax and live in reality, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Hmm.
I was thinking about this a little bit earlier when I was getting ready for this. I was thinking about it, like, because the video, I don't know if you've seen the class. Have you seen the class that came out yesterday? About,
I watched almost all of them. Yeah. Which
okay,
one?
the one that was the Shan and the new studio one
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. There was
with the
something they said. I was
congruent,
like,
not congruent. You see that?
oh, you feel incongruent sometimes?
Well, I mean, that's what I was
Or,
going to talk about was the sort of
yeah.
sleep last incongruency,
Hmm.
um, where the double activated DE kind of makes me. I have to process this. The tribe is above me. I'm not good enough. Am I good enough? You know, please show me that. But it's like I don't believe it. Like I don't believe it. The savior DI, I don't believe it. It's not
Oh, yeah.
believable. So it's sort of like I see the DE, but I'm like, nope, that's not real.
That's not real.
So but I think that does give me a little bit more because I see it more. I guess maybe it is with the double activated DE. I get the impression that to flex, I really have to be able to show people the social proof, right? Because like if I told you I'm a badass at Brazilian jiu-jitsu, well, what's your first question going to be? Well, okay, what belt do you have? And I'm gonna be like, well, I don't have a belt. I've done Brazilian jiu-jitsu a couple of times, and I'm telling you, I'm great at it. You're gonna be like, this guy's full of it. So but if I had a blue belt or a brown belt or a black belt, you'd be like, okay, this guy probably knows what he's doing.
Hmm.
So there's an element of I don't want to say prestige, but like recognizable proof that I'm capable of doing something, and stuff like that really bothers me if I don't have it. Like if I started trying to do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, the fact that I don't have a belt would really piss me off. And once I got a belt, it would really
Hmm.
piss me off what color it was, and I would just have to be like ascending that ladder. So I've never picked up a golf club because I know it's going to happen. I'm going to go play golf and I'm going to be terrible and I'm going to hate it. And then I'm going to get obsessed and I'm going to buy a bunch of equipment and take a bunch of lessons and go play a bunch of golf. And then I'm going to realize I've gotten better, but I'm like still really bad, like on the spectrum of people who are good at golf. And I'm going to have to really, really invest a ton more energy and be like, screw this. I don't have time for this. I'm not doing that. So that's that whole cycle is a pattern that I'm aware of. So I really only want to invest in activities where I could really see myself in the long run having some pretty significant edge, and so I see that. I see responsible because
Hmm.
I will just I will take ownership of a task and do things that are outside my box a lot. Like for me, the real probably once they released the models that showed like the 4 different needs stacked up for each of the
Hmm.
4, the number 3 one is probably the one that I would think that I was if I didn't think that I was a number 1 because I do a lot of specialized. Like I literally have a certification in like personal injury trial law in Texas is like from the Board of Legal Specialization, and I see number 2s, and I work with some number 2s where I see the specialized last, and I know that that's not me. So I thought for maybe a half a second, like maybe number 3 for me, but because I see myself leaning on specialized a lot, and it definitely makes sense to me that specialized is not last.
Yeah.
Specialized, it would not make sense for specialized to be last for number 1 because to be the best, you can't be the best at everything. You can only be the
You have
best
to
at
push to the top at something.
yeah. You're
Push
really
the
only the
top.
best at something or a couple
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So if you had demons, like last demon specialized, where you're just ignoring it as much as you can because you're not allowed to do it, that would be hard. It would be hard to be number 1 with specialized last. So I kind of see responsible and specialized kind of in
More
tandem.
balanced.
And when I saw that, that's when I was like, okay, this discussion's over. But then I submitted my retyping request and got back the same typing, but I got confirmation that I'm a number one. So there you go.
So one thing that I've kind of been thinking about is Gray kind of mentioned this in their interview with Habib, like the spectrum of ones of like you might be a one who's like the mayor of your town or the pastor of your church, or you might want to like be the president. Maybe all the ones say that. Maybe all the ones are like, yeah, give it to me. Like where are you right now on the spectrum of like ones of like where do you think you're heading? Where are you trying to head in your Houston law?
Awesome question. So it's like, because I definitely think that there's different like subjective spectrums of number one, right? There's probably like a lot of people who are number ones where the thing that is their thing is like bowling or something, where it's like what matters to me or what stamp collecting, like it could be any random thing. There's lots of number ones in sports that have no desire to be the number one at mathematics. So there's a lot of different ways to be a number one. It's similar to Enneagram and like type 3. There's a lot of different things you could be a type 3 about. There's a lot of different images of excellence you could be trying to live up to. So in terms of me, I've always been somebody that's found it really easy to compare myself to whoever is of roughly comparable age to me or even older, and be like, I suck compared to that person. Where I look at somebody who has what I'm trying to go for and they're closer to having it or they already have it or they already passed it and I don't. So there's some level of that I just automatically always do. And so I would say, where am I right now? I mean, I don't know. I'm probably closer to where I'm trying to get than I think. I think I'm close to being able to just kind of like let it rip, like I just got, and my mind immediately goes to social proof. Like, what can I point to that would be like, okay, here's tangible proof of progress? Because I don't know if you do this or not, but I bet you a lot of number ones have had to learn how to do this, where you kind of have to tell yourself to shut up and stop comparing yourself like to the hierarchy or the spectrum of people that are also good at what you're trying to be good at, and just compare yourself to year on year progress, right? Like, am I crushing it compared to me 365 days ago? And I would have to say, yeah, and there's like reasons for that, but that's kind of how I stay sane. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, Mike, just more DI say so over life is where I'm heading.
What was that?
More say so over what I'm doing. More over, more resources, more leverage, more power to kind of get things done. More recognition. Like it's really, but it's also kind of endless in a way where I'm going to stop doing this when I'm gone. I mean, I don't think there's any milestone that I could hit that I wouldn't psychologically adjust to and treat like a baseline a short time thereafter. You know what I mean? Like you can always do something else. And sometimes doing better means doing less, but there's always the next rung above to hit,
But I mean like
that's kind of a non-answer, but
to pull a metaphor, like, are you searching to found your kingdom? Are you searching to like start,
man, I've already done that. Like I started a business right when I got out of school, like immediately. I got out of school in 2008 because that's when I graduated, and there weren't jobs, so I just had to start up a business like that to do what I wanted to do. Like I had no experience, I had no money, so I'm like, fine, I'll just start up a business that I want to do, and I'll just by hook or by crook get as much experience and as much money as I can and like turn this into something. And so that had some like pretty serious challenges associated with it, but I stayed afloat for a while. I mean, the firm that I'm with now, I don't necessarily want to bore your audience to death by talking about law stuff, but the firm I'm with now had one other lawyer in it when we started, and now we have more than 50. And we've got offices in multiple states. And I just got my Georgia law license this week. Is the third state I'm licensed in. And so, we're on the upward trajectory. So, I mean, I've been a partner in that firm for 5 years. So, like there's really only, I'm in the right box. I'm just trying to scale it up.
That's pretty good.
Scale up. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to keep what I'm doing now is what I'm going to be doing in 40 years if I'm still doing anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if I'm not doing it in 40 years, it's because I'm not doing jack except sitting on a beach somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I'll pick up that golf I've been meaning to try. Not really. Probably not.
Okay. I think we're ready to move into the questions.
Have I worn you out by talking too much?
No, it's fine. You're
right.
it's content. It's all content.
It's content, man. I've literally spent all day writing. So today's been a sleep day. I worked from home today, and all I did is I worked on one thing. I wrote a single paper today, and I did nothing else. And I was wearing pajamas until an hour ago. This is probably a typical day for you. But
yeah.
But so for me, that's like, that's hell. That's hell for me.
Well, it's funny. I was talking to your type twin, Liz, and it was like she was asking me about like, do you have money issues? She's like, I spend a lot of money. I can't hold on to it. I'm like, oh, that's SF sleep.
I bet she does.
What is SF sleep? It's the store of physical value. It's like, I can sleep on it, get my routines down, hedge my routines, and and spend less money, and then just like I just start seeing my what I'm taking away increase. She's like, I can make money, but I can't hold on to it. I'm like,
man, when I focus and I like do sleep and just like really focus on one thing and just go over it a lot, and I get it done and I look at it later, I'm like, damn, that's badass. Like that's like really good work, but I hate doing it. I hate the process. It's like, it just,
I hate the blasting. Yeah. So I know where you're coming from. I'm like,
so when you say you
proud of it.
So when you say you hate blasting, what is it specifically that you like? What tasks does that mean that you hate by extension?
Just literally just communicating, sending like the literal like, and it was a pain at this last job to start doing. Like I kept rebelling against asking for help. Any help. It's just like literally just being a little bitch about it.
I hate asking for help too.
Yeah, I hate it. I don't
for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, and it was just like, if I do this, I have to open up the ST, and it's just like it stings. It stings a lot, especially being my demons and my last animal. But I've gotten better at like, I don't want to get started. Okay, take these steps to get there, which is more like, okay, I'm getting a sleep routine of, okay, this is what I'm doing. And if I have a good reason to do it, I do it. So, but yeah, let's, I want to ask the first question.
Go.
If you could, what would you want to be famous for, Kier?
I want to be famous for doing what I do now. I don't really want to be like a celebrity. I want to be professionally famous. Like for me, fame would be, well, I mean, name on the door is part of it, but that's not even really to me the height of it. It's more, because I mean, my name has been on doors. It's all good. Really, what it, having your name on a crappy door isn't that exciting. So it's more like having attained a certain level of like skill and excellence. Like I would like to be famous either for just being either the guy, like the hot hand for a period of time, such that there's a lot of, press that's associated with it, where I could sort of leverage reputation at a high level, and just like smashing some really big wins, like that are noteworthy. The apex would probably be like, front page Wall Street Journal as somebody who just got lit up by me, and my clients or whatever. That would probably be like as good as it gets. So fame within because I mean, I don't want to be a politician. I don't have any interest in doing that. I'm never going to be a judge because that's just not going to. I don't think I should be a judge, and I don't really want to be a judge. So that pretty much ends that discussion. So
too many SI rules. Too much.
Yeah, man. And it's Yeah, definitely. So, and you got to be a politician, so you kind of have to do the
Mhm.
friend thing a lot.
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
got to be able to fake. Not to digress, but do you ever feel like in order to get people to want to be your friend, you have to be able to flex? Like if you couldn't flex, people wouldn't want to be your friend. Does that ever? I was thinking about this today, and it
Well,
just popped
no.
into my head.
Gray said that in our interview, and I
She
fucking
said
like
that.
viscerally went, ah! Like, no, no, is that what my brain's doing? Like,
I don't
is
know.
that why I'm doing it so much? Because I'm like, well, why would you? And then it feels like when I'm out with friends, like I'm just steamrolling. It's just like it's just a me story. I'm already DI enough. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
you are very DI with the way you have that set up there.
yeah. And it's like meet your friends once a year, you know. And oh, I'm just gonna tell you about me. And I'm like, shit, did I ever ask my lady friend about herself? I'm like, shit, okay, I have to do that. Like,
Oh, you might want to do that
no,
at some
it's
point.
I know I do. She's told me that I have made I went, shit, I don't listen to anyone else's story. And she goes, you said that to me. You came to me. You said I don't listen to anyone else like that. I myself. And she's like, you said you were gonna start listening, and every time you get on the phone with me, you ask me about myself. But it's a bit awkward. It's like it feels awkward. It feels awkward to turn around. But every time I try and reach out and do the actual friends connecting thing, or like hang around, it feels weird. It doesn't feel normal. It feels awkward. But all ENFPs kind of feel awkward when you know,
I don't know,
they all
man.
say
I'm not
that.
sure I feel
Pretty cool.
awkward.
What you
I'm
know?
not sure I feel awkward. No, it's I try to ignore it. That bought me
Yeah.
enough time to think of a better answer to your question.
Okay. Let's hear it.
No, it's all right. Um, in some small, in no small way, my level of success slash fame is measured in terms of the intimidation factor that opponents have within the
Yes.
sea of competition. The more scared the other fish are, the better I feel. And I'm not trying to like scare
I,
everybody, but
I
I'm
just
just
want them
trying
to
to
fear my name.
it
Yeah.
within if you're not trying to get sued for something, if you're not gonna get sued for something, if that's not your karma in life, like we're good. But more
They,
more other attorneys really.
they only speak my name in hushed tones.
There it
Like,
is.
there it is.
And that's what I want my clients to want. They're like, yep, this guy.
Yeah.
We got to get that guy
Yeah.
because that's what needs to happen here.
Oh my gosh. No, I get
So
that.
the
I get
right kind of notoriety.
that.
The right
Oh
kind
my
of
goodness.
notoriety.
That's interesting. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
for real, really cool.
Very
Okay.
true. Very true.
I think we're ready to move on to the next question.
Yeah, let's look at
So
this.
I will ask question number 3. For what in life do you feel most grateful?
Okay, so okay, so this one I got to do the Gary V thing because I think he's right.
Okay.
Where I feel grateful for, having growing up in a basically functioning, happy, productive, decent household and having parents that maybe I'm not going to shout from the rooftops about how great my mom is as Gary V does, but I would say that on the spectrum of parents, my parents were pretty good and not a whole lot really bad happened to me when I was a kid. And like, yeah, I mean, I have some issues and some
Mm-hmm.
like trauma like related to that I've had to process. But um, I just think that in the world, there's so many people that don't have it as good or as good of like basic role models. I mean, I'm not very much like either one of my parents, and I wouldn't say that we're super close and we have our issues, but um, they got the job done, and I'm definitely grateful for that because, I mean, so the number of things that can go wrong in life if you don't have that is just immeasurable. So I have to say that I'm grateful for my upbringing and for that. So that's definitely been an advantage in life, I suppose.
I bet
And
you
is
feel that.
unearned, totally unearned,
Well,
just
yeah.
accident of roll of the dice.
Yeah. For real. Okay. Next question.
Mm-hmm.
What is the greatest accomplishment of your life?
Somehow convincing my wife to marry me.
I was actually kind of interested in that. I was like, who's this guy's
Yeah,
wife? Who's this
yeah,
guy's wife?
yeah.
What's
She's
she
not a.
like?
She's pretty awesome. She and I bonded over the fact that she also hated law school. She went to law school, but neither one of us enjoyed the experience. And we were both really great students before, but we just got turned off by the exercise. Does a lot of arbitrations and mediations now. She's been like past president of Texas Association of Mediators, yada yada yada. She's pretty awesome. She's really loyal. She's really good with family. She doesn't. She's been extremely encouraging of my life, and she's hasn't put up with any of my crap. So it's kind of a good combination. She's a really 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 good mom, and
Mhm.
she's a pretty serious person, and she's really smart. She's good. I mean, at the time that we met, I was 29 years old, and I had completely given up on relationships. Like I just thought I'll probably never get married. Like you
So,
know,
do you think you're both ones, or like, or do you even think
I
about
think
that?
I have thought about that. I don't think she's a one.
Hmm.
I think she's savior friend because she's a phenomenal friend and she's always there for people.
Hmm.
So I think she's a 2 or a 4, and I'm not completely decided on it. Um, like, yeah.
My opinion of the Force is that they're healing saints
Mhm.
sometimes. So yeah. I'm considering like thinking about that just compatibility. I'm like, I think I dated a girl who was a one with her own dreams. We both had our dreams, and the moment they came into conflict, it was like it's just not always compatible if you're all both on a
Oh,
similar.
totally. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I didn't want that. I mean, I knew that. I think it's ironic that I ended up marrying somebody who's a lawyer because I was like, I don't want to marry another lawyer. I don't want to, because it's going to turn into a competition. And then guess what happens next? Like, who's working more hours? Who's making more money? I'm like, I
Mm,
don't want that. I'm going to kill that vibe so hard.
mm,
So it was
mm,
important to me not to end up with somebody where I felt like we were competing over similar ground. Like my wife's like very ambitious. Like she's kind of trying to start a second business right now. She has a business.
mhm,
She's trying to start a second one, kind of. And so she's got ambitions for sure. Like we have very similar goals, but she does not touch what I do, and I don't. And
mm.
so it's not a similar thing. So we're not
Is
competing
there
over things, which I
is there
think is
any
important.
is there any guess on her OPS type? Like even
I think
anything?
I'm pretty sure that I don't have a great guess on it. I'm pretty sure I would bet that I've got 3 things for you. I've
Mhm,
got Savior. I think she's an IJ or an EJ with OI,
mhm.
probably an IJ, and I think she's Savior OIDE probably, and I think she has Sleep Savior, but I don't think it's first. I think she's Blast Sleep probably. That's my guess.
So you find the compatibility is really good though, like
Yeah, I
communication.
definitely
Yeah.
definitely like it. Yeah, no, it definitely is good. And I think she's a compatible type for me in like a lot of different systems. Like she's an Enneagram 9.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, I haven't really tried to scrutinize it because I mean, shit, I was married for 4 years when OPS came out. I'm not gonna like go
Yeah.
put it under the microscope to see if we're compatible.
Everything is
I'm
working,
just gonna
and
assume
and then
we're good.
you talk to the community like, oh, you're not compatible types. I can imagine how
Yeah,
people have gone through
yeah,
that.
fuck that shit. No,
Oh, that's fucking bullshit.
but yeah, Savior OI, probably Savior DE, but probably an IJ with double
Mhm,
deciding, and I think she's got Sleep
mhm.
probably second is my guess. And in terms of SI versus NI, or I think she's probably XTE, maybe S. I don't know if she's an ISTJ or not, or an INTJ, probably one of the
Mhm,
two. I'm not sure though.
mhm.
In
Okay.
that system, she wouldn't be that type in like socionics or whatever, but
Yeah.
in OPS, that's what I think. And she's
Okay.
probably double feminine, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Did you ever go dancing with her? Have you ever taken her to a concert and just looked at her and
I've
been like, "Are you
definitely
noodling?"
I haven't done that thing, but I have danced with her many times.
Okay. Okay. Next question, and here's going to be the hard one. The question's about friendship.
Okay.
What do you most value in friendship?
When you said that this was going to be the hardest, I was like, shit, this is going to be easy because I don't have the baggage. I don't have the complex and being triggered by it. Now that you asked me this question, I'm like, what? I don't know what the fucking answer is.
What is friendship?
What do I most value in friendship?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I would say shared interests and like basically the entire measure of whether or not somebody's a good friend is whether or not they're still your friend when you suck. Like when if because if you're doing badly and your friends are nowhere to be found, they're not your friends. So I would say that's probably the most like relevant filter for who's a good friend is who's there for you when your chips are down. I would say. But so that's like the true measure of a good friend, but sort of operationally on a day-to-day basis, I would just say having shared interests. Like almost all my friends in real life are people that I work with and people that I like have to, do business with, or we can talk shop. Like that's kind of the glue. But are they good friends or bad friends? That depends on whether or not, they're supporting you when you're having a bad day or having a bad month or whatever,
Yeah. Well, it sounds like they fit into what you're trying to do. Like, kind of, it doesn't sound like you're like, I just want to hang out, which is obviously how we're defining this stuff. Like,
yeah, so that's true. I hang out some, but I don't hang out purposelessly, although I used to. When I was in my 20s, I just wanted to party, I just wanted to go and like talk to people out on the town and meet some new faces and do that. And but nowadays I'm so busy, and I have like having a kid's kind of a game changer on that front, where you want to go out but you don't because it's too hard. So that's another story. But I mean, I love to just hang out on a vacation, but I'll be reading or doing something. I almost never do literally nothing. I don't think I can. It's impossible.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. I'm going to skip question 6 because I feel like you already answered it.
Yeah, I did. So, I agree with that.
Yeah. Friendship is they have you when you're down, and then definitely. What, if anything, is too serious to be joked about?
My physical appearance. Partially joking. I don't know, man. So I think that the short answer is nothing, but the long and more accurate answer would be anything depending on the situation, and it would kind of depend a lot on who's around and what sacred cows are applicable in the place that you're trying to joke in. I mean, a lot of the time, like the funniest jokes are the things that probably are too serious, because it jolts your brain. Like it shocks you out of your complacency and sense of NPC normalcy, right? It's like I even took a class on ancient comedy when I was in college, and
really?
and they went through like what's really like what are the consistent themes about humor? What's funny? Like food's funny, animals are funny, like bodily functions are funny.
I heard the first recorded joke was of a woman sitting on a man's lap farting. It was like in ancient Mesopotamia. They just found some joke about that.
Probably
ancient graffiti all about that.
Yeah, probably, and also like just anything that's just completely shocking and out of the ordinary can just kind of be like it can be performatively funny, like because they're saying it's funny. Like you said that, oh my god, that's funny. So I mean, comedy, it doesn't lend itself easily to boundaries of what's proper and what's considerate and kind and normal. And I think that, like, to some degree, in 2023, there's some degree of like, that's not, oh, people have kind of forgotten that in some camps and some regions of the internet and online and stuff. So, and in certain like media outlets, stuff you kind of have to be able to push the envelope, or stuff's not going to be funny. If you're happier with not being offended and not laughing as much, and that's better for you than laughing a lot, but holy shit, I can't believe somebody said that. I mean, I don't know. Pick your poison, because I don't think there's really ever going to be a balance there. I mean, yeah, there's probably jokes that, I mean, let me kind of work my way towards answering your question. I mean, I guess that there's really certain stuff that, like genocide's probably not funny. Like, I don't think you could really joke about genocide in a way that's actually funny. It would be hard to do that. Like like sexual crimes that deal with children, those aren't very funny. I mean, like there's extreme, like certain like kinds of facts that are like just extreme enough where that's probably not going to be funny.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the topics that are taboo and treated as sacred cows like are probably not so serious as to be funny sometimes, or in the right setting. I'm not saying you should tell jokes about that stuff, like, you know, identity, and like joking about identity is not funny, like to the wrong people, but I don't know. It's hard to even talk about that though. But I think we come up with some good examples. Genocide. I think genocide's as good of an answer as we're going to find.
I think you had two good
genocide ones. And sexual crimes against children. That's not funny. Yeah. So let's not joke about that.
Let's not joke about that.
No, let's not joke about that.
I'm going to give you a good ENFP stamp. Last guy didn't pass the bar. He said anything. I was like, fucking all the ENFPs are going to say anything.
Well, that's the first thing I said, wasn't it? That's the first thing I said was.
But you worked through it.
Nothing but like, and I mean, but it's qualified, right? Because you could probably, there probably are jokes that you could make, but I wouldn't think of them.
I agree.
I'm not going to think of it. Somebody else can.
Somebody else can.
They can. Somebody
write your jokes in the comments, everyone. Let's see if they're funny.
Yeah, those dice are for someone else to throw, not me.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the last question. How do you cope with the fact that you will one day die?
I don't cope with it. It's part of my baseline. It's part of everybody's baseline. You're gonna die. I'm gonna die. Everybody's gonna die. All men must die. Valar Morghulis. So there's nothing to cope with. I mean, I've gotten to the point now in my life where I've got a young child and I'm about to turn 40, believe it or not. So my life is about to start, allegedly. Haha.
Life begins at 40.
Carl, yeah. Yep. So, but I mean, what I've realized is, you know, trashing my body with the way that I used to do when I was in my 20s, where I would just, you know, eat whatever, drink whatever, and just whatever, who cares? The consequences are in the future. Now it's like, well, I kind of want to live as long as I can because I want to see, you know, my kids like for as long as I can. And I want to, you know, be there for them for as long as I can and in good health, not attached to a machine. So I've kind of come to be aware of my mortality in that way. And it's become more difficult for me to, I guess, cope with that because I'm aware that, you know, like I turn 50 in 10 years. Like, that's how crazy is that? So, you know, if I continue with really like bad habits, like to the extent I have bad habits, then that's going to catch up with me at some point, and that's going to start costing me in the long run. And that long run isn't as long as it used to be. So I would say that I cope with it just by trying to be as mindful as I can as a sleep last SI last person. Polar SI and socionics. Like, I've got all the bad SI, and so for somebody who has all the bad SI, I'm going to be as like conscious and as careful as I can be without, destroying my reason to enjoy life. And that's how I'm going to cope with it, just by putting it off for as long as I can, and by making sure that I stay in as good of condition as long as I can, so that when it, eventually happens, it's not so bad. It's not, or it's on my own terms, let's say, as much on my own terms as it could be.
Yeah.
And if somebody invents the elixir of immortality in the meantime, maybe I'll discover it.
It might be coming. I've been hearing a few whispers in the air of, what was it? Was it Trump's in-law? It was like, I'm keeping healthy because I think I might live 300 years. That's what I know about.
Yeah, I mean, I think the science on reverse aging is far enough behind where I can't imagine being young enough to really take advantage of it if it were to come around the pike. So I really don't think about that. I'm not an AI doomer either. My various feeds are being assaulted by all these AI doomerist Q&As, and I just kind of don't have the space for it.
Do you have any interest in incorporating AI into your work?
I've already started using it.
Really?
Yeah. So obviously AI can't do like the full scope of what I do. But sometimes if you're trying to refine searches, if you ask it a question, it'll give you some language that you can use to get to improve the quality of your searches using search terms. I've already found that use. AI art can be useful actually in my work. I've noticed that very recently. Like
Have you been using it?
I used it yesterday in my work. Yeah, because there's a slot. Like I wanted you come up with an analogy to present a concept, and you think, okay, here's my mental image that the perfect analogy to present it. I'm like, but I cannot find stock art of this because it doesn't exist, and I'm not going to go I'm not going to stage the photograph because I just am not going to do that. So maybe AI art will create the image for me in serviceable enough quality, and so I've started using AI art for like image backdrops if I need to explain something. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's cool, and I've been using some AI, and I'm probably going to keep using it. I haven't designed a chat bot for myself yet because I've got enough of me.
Has the AI art like really wowed anyone, or do they just not notice?
For me, it's utilitarian. Like I'm not trying to create something I can frame or put on like the back of my computer. It's literally like I'm trying to come up with an image for a PowerPoint slide, and I can't find a clip. I can't find stock images or clip art. So I'm like, okay, well, create an image that's like bam, 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 and there, and I sometimes have to press refresh enough times to find something that's any good because it'll make weird mistakes. Sometimes the human faces really are bizarre.
Like,
just
the eyes will be weird, the fingers,
or it'll be like their face looks like a hand or something. Like it's like an eldritch being. You don't want that.
Nightmares.
So sometimes you have to mess with it. Like sometimes I noticed I was having to prompt it a lot before I got something good.
You're like,
even over something just basic. Literally, like the number of times that I had to refresh to get a slice of pie that looked normal, like a good-looking AI like slice of cherry pie, took like 5 or 6 tries.
Yeah, it's not that bad for a slice of pie.
Hey, their entire like databases of photographs, like art quality photographs that you used to have to subscribe to pay money for to use those in PowerPoints, and now you can just like have an AI app that you're paying like
generated.
Yeah, I mean it takes a little bit of work, but I see the applications, so that's definitely cool.
So you're not having an observer freak out about AI.
I might at some point. Like, I mean, I usually have observer freakouts over things that it's like the opposite, right? Because it's connected to the SI. It's not over like some weird concept. It's like this damned old thing that's always worked. Here, it's like when the laptop goes kaput. Or what did I have an observer freak out about today? I think I had something. Oh, well, yeah, no, it's like I was responsible for something that I thought was going to make me late. And then I realized, my Discord wasn't opening, so I had to restart my computer, and I was like thinking I had to download StreamYard. So I mean, it's just not having really old, like I get more freaked out by old technology than new technology because it's gonna give out on you, and I'm worried it's gonna fail. That's more of something that I would freak out about tech wise is the
Check
old
the phone over your shoulder and like, okay, I got the New Year's phone. It's better.
Yeah, I have more worries related to not new technology rather than new technology. New technologies,
Because it's backwards compatible,
yeah,
Damn
something
it.
like that. The new
We're gonna have
tech
to go down
is.
the chain and figure this out. It's bullshit. Yeah.
How does that work for you, though?
The problem usually, like, recently I was like, okay, I'm doing I'm a relatively younger. I'm like, I'm doing my taxes on my own. Oh fuck, I forgot I rushed through it, did it all myself, and I was like, and they were like, why didn't you ask for help? I'm like, I have to do this, so I'm less freaked out next time. And I rushed through it, and I realized, like, I went to submit it, rejected, and then I realized, oh my god, I forgot I worked a different job. And literally a family member was like, don't worry about that. They don't care. I'm like, I'm not committing tax fraud. But then I'm like, oh shit, I have to call the old company. I have to get on their website. I couldn't get on their website. I tried all the backup things, didn't work. I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to call them. And then I was just dreading that for the longest time because I'm just like, the moment I call them, they're gonna go, okay, here, you need all this list of things to prove that you are you. And I'm like
that's some blast last.
I know it is blast last. It was I didn't want to communicate the ST, and I'm just like, but it turned out I got around it.
Nice. But see, that's very similar. That's actually very similar to something that I would freak out about. Like, this is a real thing for me where I don't procrastinate things to the last minute because I'm concerned. Like, if I do that, all of a sudden my 5-year-old computer is going to turn into a potato, and I'm going to miss a deadline. And literally, this kind of happened to me recently where I had to file something, and I went to file it the night before it was due, and all of the systems were down for maintenance, and I couldn't file it. So I have to email the court help desk, and I had to email my opposing counsel, and I had to be like, I literally can't file this thing. The servers are shut down for maintenance. I don't know what to do. Here's what I would file if I could file this right now, which I can't. And then they start being like, well, you were late. And I'm like, God damn it. I couldn't even do that on time if I wanted to, which I did.
Yeah.
And the computer.
No, it's funny. I'll talk to other ENFPs about the dishes. Now the dishes are less of a problem, and the laundry. Now the laundry's less of a problem. And it's just the more you deal with it, the less you're like, okay, I've dealt with this.
Yeah, the laundry and the dishes, that's not really a thing for me.
It's not. But literally, my story is darkest day of my life. I got fired from a job, 3 months unemployed, go on a vacation. My dad made a joke about me doing the dishes. Suicidal depression. It's like that. I was like, okay, this is dumb. Now in hindsight, I'm like, that's hilarious. Really, that not the losing the job.
It's like, that's the last straw.
That's the last straw. Really, that's the last straw. I was like, I feel so weak. Now I'm like,
probably because he was probably thinking that if he was probably remembering that if his ducks were in a row, that joke wouldn't bother him. But it's cutting into him.
It's not like I had to confront him. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm saying about. He's like, if you can't take that joke, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm like, you're right. You're fucking right. If I can't take that joke, he's like, if I can't tell you that joke, I can't tell you anything. I'm like, you're right. You're right, man. How could I? But it was just the ST last feels like, I feel so weak here. I feel so weak and useless, which is a lot of ENFPs say, I feel so weak and useless. So, and now I'm just like, that's a funny story now. I'm just like, really that? I'm like, oh, it really, that's where my pain was. The SI last, but it's the same shit. But I'm just like, but it was a depression of I fucked off my own life, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm really a failure. It was that one. Oh my gosh, it was so silly.
What might be the most demon ST thing I've ever done is I bought a couch from IKEA, and and I unpacked it and I looked at the instructions and I thought about putting it together and I realized that it was like way too complicated. And I just, rather than like figuring it, I just like packed it back up and put it in my closet and never built it. I was like, I'm not going to figure out how to assemble this goddamn thing. Just not going to do it.
That's weird because I don't think that would scare me. I've always loved assembling things. Could be anything. Maybe you're more like verbal than me. And maybe I'm more spatial. I have no clue. You're a lawyer. You have to be verbally intelligent.
I have to be some. I mean, I'm all of this, but I don't know. Like, it was weird. Yeah. I'm everything, but it was just like I'm not putting that together.
Yeah.
This is too much of a pain in the ass. I'm not doing it. Like, I've never changed a tire. I don't know. Might want to learn how to do that. But that goes back to what I was saying. Like last Demon SI is like the not new things, the reliable things, the things you count on every day, the things you don't necessarily even think about every day. Like the fear that those things will give out, and like all hell will break loose because like the pillars of civilization are no longer functioning. You know.
How long have I been on? The pillars of civilization will fall. Society. Oh, yes. We're not disciplined enough.
And this 3-year-old computer is the linchpin of that.
It's not real.
If it does, and I guess not. I guess it's not real.
Oh my gosh. Well, that definitely interesting. Well, Kier, it's been nice to have you on.
It's been good to be here, man. Thanks for inviting me, Henry.
Oh yeah, no, this has been a fun talk, and yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. It was fun listening to your story, relating to you, being so similar, whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna close it up.
All right, Henry.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good one.
Ending the broadcast.